Welcome to the WDW Fan Zone Show. Tonight, we are joined by Kurt, Jess, John, Darlene, and I am Stuart. I feel like I am Groot. No, Groot. no. We're going to be talking DVC. I am not a DVC member. However, Darlene, John, and Kurt are, and they know all there is to know, or a lot to know, about DVC. So whether you're an expert listening or watching out there, or somebody who's looking to possibly buy or maybe expand your number of points, we're going to get into all that. But first, we've got Jess and the latest Walt Disney World news. Take it away, Jess.
Hello, everybody. All right, so there is a Florida Blue Medicare Lounge at the Morocco Pavilion in Epcot, and it is for everyone, but you need to register before you get there. There are complimentary beverages, including water, Moroccan mint tea, cold brew, sparkling water, and a variety of juices. You have to register at the Florida Blue website, and you are consenting to Florida Blue to use your email address for marketing to you. This will be open every day until November 23rd and from noon to 6 p.m. Dates have been announced for after hours events for Magic Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios for 2025. There have been many dates, and right now they're going out until September 25th. September 2025. So please check out those dates. There are a lot of them. Magic Kingdom After Hours in 2025 will bring back the fireworks show Enchantment that was on during the 50th anniversary. So if you loved it, go check it out in 2025. If you plan on going to a water park during your stay in November, please note that Typhoon Lagoon will be closing on November 3rd, but Blizzard Beach will be opening the next day on November 4th, kind of continuing that winter pattern of Blizzard Beach being open in the winter and Typhoon Lagoon being open from spring through summer. Don't forget to check park hours before planning your trip and check again once you arrive to see if they've changed. And the Walt Disney World area is expecting hot and steamy summer weather. You know the drill. Afternoon showers are likely, thunderstorms possible, so pack those ponchos and your patience. And that's all I have for today.
All right, Jess, thank you so much. Hope you have a great holiday, you and your family, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much. Happy Labor Day and see you real soon.
Bye. All right, so DVC. Now, how many years have you all been members? I think, Darlene, you're the latest one to join the club.
I joined in 2007.
2012.
2008.
Wow. Okay. Now, Darlene, you're in a little different situation than both Kurt and John. Is
Yes.
you purchased it when you were living out of state. Now you've moved down here.
Correct.
So we'll talk to you a little bit about that and why you've kept it, later on in the show.
Mm-hmm.
But DVC, as most of you already know, and for those who don't, stands for Disney Vacation Club. And it's almost like actually, it is a timeshare, but it's a different kind of timeshare. Do any of you care to explain exactly how DVC works?
Well, it's not that you purchase a property for certain weeks of the year. You invest in the overall Disney Vacation Club properties in Florida and in California and in Hawaii. You invest in all of them, and based on you can buy points, and based on the number of points that you purchase, that's your level of investment. And then based on that level of investment, in return, you can get so many nights at the different DVC properties in those 3 states and beyond. We're going to talk more about other things beyond DVC, but you can get nights in those properties based on the number of points that those properties are per night based on when you book it. So you buy a certain allotment, and then you have that allotment to use every year in the way you choose to. So it's much more flexible than a typical timeshare.
Now, do the DVC points vary from one resort to one DVC
Yes.
resort to another in terms of value and cost?
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Add-ons right now. I'm looking at add-ons right now and how much they would cost. Somewhere like the Riviera would be $225 per point. Disneyland is $239. Bay Lake Towers $275. Boulder Ridge is $215. So if you look at like your proximity, you're going to be paying a little bit more.
All right, now
also it's when their ownership expires, because you get basically 50 years on your lease.
When you purchase the
Oh.
points, if it's a new property, you get basically 50 years that you own that investment.
Correct.
now you've mentioned different resorts. Now there is what they call a home resort, which is where you purchase your points from.
Correct.
Now, this much I do know about DVC, which isn't much. Like I said, I'm not a DVC member, but you don't have to stay at your home resort.
Right.
So is
Never
it
done.
beneficial to buy at one resort over another, or is it what's available?
Well,
So-
if you go ahead, Darlene.
The big thing with a resort is you try to pick a resort that you're going to go to. If you're going to pick Alani, you're going to have the longest time to book out at that resort. But if you live here and you're not going to be going to Alani, it doesn't really make sense, because you can't book the resorts at Walt Disney World or Disneyland even until you're like 7 months out. Do you
Right.
understand?
So if your home resort, you can book 9 months out.
You can
11.
So
11. Yeah,
or 11 months out. I'm sorry. Otherwise, it's 9 months out or 7
7.
months out.
7.
So
It's 7 months out.
you throw me off.
So
So we've stayed at
So you-
Saratoga Springs once. That's our home resort. The rest of the time, we just stayed at. I've stayed at a lot of these resorts. There's only a couple I haven't stayed at.
Yeah.
But you can book at 7 months out. You can still find resorts.
okay, so
Most of
it sounds like the benefit of your home resort is the number of months out you can book.
Correct.
Correct.
What
That is
other
the-
benefits come with DVC before we delve into more intricate issues and fun stuff?
Well, first of all, one of the biggest reasons to book or to purchase DVC, in my opinion, is that you are purchasing the ability to stay at a very nice Disney property for 50 years, like Kurt was saying, and you're purchasing it at today's price. And he was giving you some ideas of some of the per point costs. And if you're going to purchase points, you generally, I think anymore, have to purchase around 160 points. Is that the
It's at
minimum?
least 160.
From
It used to be 110.
it's higher now.
Right. Starting in it was 150, and then starting in 2007, they made it 160, just because it's almost impossible to stay at most of the resorts for anything less than close to 160 points for a week.
It really depends, and we'll talk about this as we go. We'll talk about the different units and all, but I'm able to if I use the smaller units, the studios, and I get it at one of the lesser costs of points per night at a good time of the year, I can typically get close to 2 weeks with that.
Right.
But we'll talk more about that.
Well,
But
is it fair to say that over time, like when you purchased 2008, we're now in 2024,
the
so
prices have really gone up. Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So when the price goes up, does that devalue your points?
No.
No.
So you have a level of investment that is steady. So I bought however many points. The number of points per night per room, they can go up, but only if other rooms in that same resort come down. So the number of points that it takes to stay at a room doesn't really go up over time. The cost to purchase in goes up, but what you get for those points does not go up. That stays relatively stable.
So what are you saying with the point charts? They start out with, we're just going to say 1,000 points. They split those 1,000 points over the entire calendar. So if they add 10 points on in the value time of year, they have to take those 10 points off of another time of the year.
Or
So
from a
they
different
wouldn't
room
jump that
type.
much, but
So they
or
they-
different time of year,
Yeah,
room
yeah.
type, year, whatever.
Right, exactly.
So Disney also has DVC resorts that the points are based on season as well.
They're based
Day of-
off of a season.
Yeah.
They're based off of your view.
the
Mhm.
day of the week.
The day of the week, yes, Friday and Saturday are the two highest days. So you see most people, like right now, if I was trying to get it, last week when we were talking about best time of the year to go, the
Mhm.
openings I was seeing were Friday and Saturday. I wasn't seeing anything else open because people aren't going to waste. It's basically wasting points if you could go a different time.
Now, and this is a little, it's on topic, but a little slightly off topic. As an added benefit of being a DVC member, that you could purchase an annual pass, whereas somebody who's not a Florida resident, unless you get their most expensive annual pass, that's all that's available to you.
Sorcerer Pass we can get.
Right.
At the discounted price. So yes, you can get, as a DVC member, you can get a discounted Sorcerer's Pass.
So you still have to
that-
get the most expensive one available.
No, the Sorcerer.
the Sorcerer.
It's the one below.
It's
Oh,
not
the
the
one
below.
Incredipass.
I'm sorry.
It's not the Incredipass, yeah.
Yeah. That's
Which only Florida residents and DVC members can get that type
Yeah,
of
right.
pass.
Pass. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It would be
and
nice
is
if
a
they
big
would
benefit.
allow us to get. I mean, basically, if we own it, we're Florida residents, anyways. So why don't they give us the rest of them also at the lesser price? But we're not allowed to do that.
Mhm.
Well, we own property. That doesn't mean we're residents.
Well, this is true.
Yeah.
So, the nice thing about it is, so we do a larger room where John's doing a studio. We're doing a 2-bedroom resort. That 2-bedroom resort we stayed with a standard view at Animal Kingdom Lodge 2 years ago, I think it was. When we 3 years ago now. When we stayed there, I was pricing it out. For me, it was going to cost me, converting the points with what our dues are and everything else. I think it cost me about $925 for 4 nights. That room itself was a $945 per night room if you were to go and rent it.
Now, well, okay, and you can rent DVC. It's not
There's
something that
There's
is.
2 different ways. Disney holds
Hold
aside
that, John. Hold that thought. Because
Okay.
before we get to that, are there any other benefits that
Oh.
you guys haven't mentioned?
thousands.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a
the
lot
discounts.
There are lots of
Discounts.
discounts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's not as good as it was maybe 10, 15 years ago.
No.
I know there were other discounts then, but like everything else, things
There
change
are
as
dining
times move on.
discounts. There are dining discounts, discounts on tours, discounts on
Shopping.
special events like Very Merry and Not So Scary. There are,
Water park discounts.
there's
And
Or
Darlene, you as a
discounts, yeah.
Florida resident now,
Mhm.
you and an annual pass holder,
Yes.
you can see which one gives you a better discount and use either.
Correct. And
Usually it's the
and
pass holder.
Disney does assist with that when you tell them that you have an annual pass or a DVC. Occasionally, the annual pass is better than the DVC. Then there's chances that the DVC is better than the annual pass.
Mhm. So for
Not very
someone
often.
who is a prospective DVC owner, hasn't bought yet, but is thinking about buying, what's the single biggest benefit for them?
Saving on their resort stays if they come multiple times.
yeah.
Well,
And not a one-time thing.
now let's assume you purchase your points outright. Aren't there annual payments for the upkeep of the resort as
There
well? that
are.
you
It's
pay?
an
And-
annual
Yeah, those
due.
are the dues.
And that increases every year, I assume.
Pretty much.
It goes up a little bit, usually every
Yeah.
year, and it's based on your level of investment. So it's based on how
Correct.
many points you own. Just
Okay.
as if
Right,
you had
in
a
other
bigger
words-
home, you had
Right. When they raise the rate, it's per point. So
Right.
if you have 160 points, it's going to go up this much. If you have 200 points, it's going to go up more. If you only have 50 points, if you buy them secondhand, you can get 50 points.
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
speaking of secondhand, there used to be benefits of buying secondhand. I don't believe there are much of any benefits now.
You
No,
lose
they're
Why
gone.
don't you guys go
price.
through that and let our listeners and viewers out there know? And speaking of listeners and viewers, if you give us a thumbs up, it'll help us reach more Disney fans out there. So
Mhm.
please help us out by giving us a thumbs up wherever you're watching
Yeah.
or listening to us.
Yes, please.
All those benefits, the discounts, you don't get any of them.
You don't get anything
You-
anymore.
all you're
buying
getting is the room.
secondhand.
You have to have bought at least some points directly from Disney to get those perks, those benefits.
Right, like if you have 100 points and you want to buy 100 more and you buy them directly from Disney as a resale, you'll still get those benefits.
If you bought from somebody else as a resale and you already purchased 100 points from Disney, you keep the benefits.
You keep okay, because
Right.
you already had them.
Right.
But if you're a new DVC owner and you purchase from a third party,
You
got
don't get
nothing.
those benefits now.
why would you do that? Then it's like
Well, price.
Because it's a heck of a
trade-off.
lot less expensive.
It's a trade-off. So you give
Yep.
up perks for a lesser price for your points.
yeah, but you're still paying dues. So unless you travel to Disney, and I would say at least a couple of times a year to one of the DVC resorts, it's not worth it.
Well, yeah, I would never recommend it to somebody who does not plan to go to Disney at least once a year.
Yeah, I
Right.
agree.
And Disney does have, like, if you know you're buying through a third party, Disney has the right of first refusal.
Yep.
So if someone's like, I'm going to sell you these points at $110 a point, but they're selling them at $150 for
Yeah.
a resort that expires in 2047. In that situation, Disney can say, you're selling them too cheap. So they'll buy them back.
Yeah.
But it'll
It-
probably be at that same price.
No,
They buy
one-
them back at a lesser amount. I know
Okay.
that much.
One more thing I want to quickly go through before we get into the meat of things. You can use your Disney points as you would a timeshare with another party, right? With other
RCI.
resorts. And people that have other timeshares at other resorts can use them at Disney as well.
Yes.
RCI, yeah.
Okay. So it is RCI. All right.
Yeah.
They've switched over the years, but I think it's back to RCI now.
And is let's say you wanted to stay at an RCI hotel someplace, depending on where it is it a good value to do that, or you're much better off just keeping your points at
It
Disney?
depends because there is a one-time transaction fee that you need to use.
Mm.
Most of
It's
those,
not high.
It's like
like
$100 or
90,
something,
it was
isn't it?
$95
Yeah.
last time I looked.
Yeah. So if you're going somewhere for a week, it's not a big deal.
Right.
What I would recommend and what I do in the event that I've had extra points for a given year because I was going on a big trip somewhere else and couldn't get to Disney, I go through those third-party renters and rent my points to somebody else. And in fact, that's a real good deal for somebody who wants to stay at a Disney deluxe property, namely a DVC villa. You can go through those third parties and rent the points, and then they broker between the DVC owner and the renter. And so that's what I've done with points that I had that were excess for a given year. You can also bank them into the next year, so you have more points for the next year. But I've rented them and have been able to get, I think you get a good value. So when you rent your points, you can take that money and then you can use it how you want to on another vacation, on a Disney cruise line, wherever. So I've never used the RCI properties, but I have rented my points and then used that money for other trips.
Have any of you used your points for a Disney cruise?
No.
I did early on.
I did
And
early on.
how was the trade-off with that point value-wise?
At the time, it wasn't bad at all. When I did it, basically a year's worth of points was putting me and my wife on the cruise.
Nice.
Now it's not any value at all. It's
I would not recommend it. I would definitely recommend renting your points, using the money it is a better value if you can compare it dollar to dollar. the number of points it would take you to get onto the cruise is more points than you'd have to sell to book the cruise yourself.
Yep. Makes
Mhm.
sense. Can you use them for Adventures by Disney?
Yes.
And it's
And
the
Nat
same
Geo.
thing.
And
Is-
Nat Geo, it's the same thing. You're
Yeah.
going to pay a premium in points. And what I will say is there is a huge market to rent your points.
Mhm.
The brokers do not have enough inventory for the number of people that want to purchase the rental.
Yeah, and I just want to mention something out there to everybody. There are some brokers that are very legitimate and above board. There are others that aren't. So
Mhm.
before you go to a broker, if you choose to go to a broker, get recommendations, get testimonials that can be backed up and proven. Just don't go to any broker.
Agreed.
You know, check with your travel planner who might also be a Disney vacation owner and might know somebody who's legitimate that does that.
Mhm.
Just don't go ahead and go to a broker. No
And
matter
here's why
what
it would be good to rent. I mean, we talked about there's a lot of benefits. So I get a 2-bedroom. There's
Mhm.
usually 5 of us. A 2-bedroom will sleep up to 9. So some of them are only 8, some of the older resorts. So you've got the master bedroom has a king size bed. In a 2-bedroom, there's at least 2, sometimes 3 full size bathrooms. You get a full washer and dryer. It's a full kitchen with a complete with a dishwasher and everything else. A full living room that folds out into a sleeping bed. The second bedroom has 2 queen size beds, and there's at least 2 balconies on that. So it's just the space is incredible. And if you know how to do it right, you got to know how to ask for the right room. Sometimes you can ask and they'll help you. Or you could book a standard view room. Like we went to Animal Kingdom Lodge. We did a standard view room rather than doing the Savannah room. And it was substantially less on points. But if you have the right room in the right area, you're still seeing, when you look down, you're still seeing animals. You're not looking at the parking lot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a luck of the draw, though. They can't guarantee they're going to get you that room.
You know, it sounds like, and Lottie's not here tonight. Lottie has a family of 5. And it sounds like
Perfect.
anybody who's got a family of 5, at least 5, DVC makes a lot of sense, even if you're renting the points as opposed to buying them. If you can afford to buy them, you know, and you're planning on coming every year, that might be a great value for a larger family.
We've had a couple people on that
Mm-hmm.
They literally are paying for 2 deluxe resort rooms. And I'm going, why don't you rent DVC? And they thought it would be a lot more. I'm like, I'm telling you. I told them this summer if they hadn't have already booked their rooms, I could have booked them. They had a special going on because I don't know. We know everything is down. 40% off for that room. I could have gotten them. So $945, take 40% off of that. That's like the price of 1 deluxe room where they're getting a 2-bedroom villa.
Yeah. The 1 bedrooms and the 2 bedrooms have full kitchens and they have washer and dryer. And as Kurt said, they've got a balcony or multiple balconies. They are so comfortable.
Are there any 3-bedroom DVC
Yes.
rentals?
Yes.
Does it go? How many rooms or how many bedrooms are the most you can rent out?
Well, the Grand Villa is 3 bedrooms.
Yeah,
I think the
That's as
tree
much, yeah.
houses you can sleep 9 or 12.
No, it's 9, but they only share 1 bathroom. Kind of.
And what about the ones at the Polynesian on the water?
The new ones?
Oh, the bungalows.
The bungalow.
Oh, the bungalow's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, if I remember correctly. There's a master bath and then there's a ensuite.
Yeah, I would not recommend the bungalows unless you just had points you wanted to blow and live the high life.
Exactly.
They are very heavy on points.
They are.
You know, pretty much 160 points for 1 night.
Wow.
Yeah.
If not more.
Yeah. Wow. Now, if let's say if somebody purchases a minimum 160 points and they're going peak season let's do peak season first and let's do off peak season. How far will those points get them? And I know
Where do you want to
weekends
stay?
are more, like Friday and Saturday night, I know are higher in cost.
Give me a resort. I'll let you know right now.
Riviera.
Riviera 2025 point chart. You want to go peak season, you said?
Peak season and off peak, so people can see the difference.
Okay, so peak season for a deluxe, we'll just say a 1-bedroom villa, peak season. Sunday through Thursday is going to be 58 points for a standard view, 68 for that preferred view, facing the fireworks. That's peak season. The lowest level, which is 1 month in September, that same 1-bedroom, instead of 58 points, is now 29 points for standard view, or 36 points for the preferred view.
Wow.
So it is.
That's significant.
When do you want to go?
Yeah.
There's a reason I don't
significant
come down at
difference.
Christmas time.
If you can go
crazy-
September, when the crowds are down a little bit and you're not spending as many points, that's another trip later on in the year.
Yeah.
That's how I used to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can get some of the resorts that are much lower in points as well. So for instance, Boardwalk or Old Key West or Saratoga, you can often get 1-bedrooms for much less than you would for those, like the Grand Floridian or the Polynesian or Bay Lake Tower or the Riviera.
Right. So comparison, Animal Kingdom Villas, since I just talked about them. The standard, and I'm just going to hit the standard view. Standard view during the holiday season, it's only 38 points for the standard view. The Savannah view is 47. So it's less expensive than the Riviera. And the really nice thing about staying at Kidani Village, you park underneath of it. So if it's raining really bad, you're staying dry.
But you have to remember,
So-
there's no place really to eat at Kidani.
You got a kitchen. We're going to leave it at that. Have I ever used the kitchen to cook food? No. Store food? Yes.
Well-
Breakfast stuff? Yeah.
Yeah, we've done it in different places, but you're right. I mean, I'm much more interested in eating in the parks or in the resort dining.
As my
rooms,
wife
but
said, I'm on vacation.
this
I'm
is
not
true. Yeah,
cooking.
why do you want to spend?
I
but
get 1 week on vacation. Why am I
Yeah,
cooking?
but like you
It's
say, breakfast is a great value.
It's too easy. Yeah.
So it saves you time and it saves you
And money.
money to use what you have there. You've got a big refrigerator if you want
Got
to
the
use the
microwave.
microwave, or even if you want to use the
Yep.
stovetop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Darlene and I know a couple that are no longer with us who some years back spent a month at a DVC resort.
Mm.
And I can bet they did not eat out every night. Maybe most of the nights, but not
Probably
every
not.
night.
Well, not for that long. No.
Yeah.
no.
No.
I can't imagine.
The one thing that they were very big on was going to Kona and bringing leftover tonga toast for the next meal.
Yeah, so even with
'Cause I
the
was with them.
the smallest units, the studios, they come with a kitchenette. They
Yeah.
have a refrigerator, they have a microwave, coffee maker,
Coffee
they have
pot.
an extra sink. So the studio is a good way for a small family, like especially a couple, to get the added value of having drinks in the room, having breakfast. You can use the microwave and the refrigerator, and you can cut down on your points and cut down on your costs if you are the small family.
Now, I've got a couple of questions for Darlene. Being a Florida resident now, are you happy with your DVC? Do you want to keep it forever and ever? Or is it something you can envision selling at some point?
I've been asked this question many times. I've been told I should sell my DVC. And
I'm not asking what people have told you. What do you want to do?
What are you
with it?
going to do?
And my answer is no.
Okay. And why?
Because I still like to do a staycation. I've taken your wife with me. And, we can still go to Vero Beach. We can still go to California, Alani, South,
South Philly, you were going to say?
pardon?
Nobody wants to go to South Philly.
Oh, Philly.
No, to the one in Hilton Head.
People that
Right,
live in
yeah.
South Philly don't want to go to South Philly.
So, I mean,
Not that
there's
there's anything
still,
wrong with Philadelphia.
there's still
I
a
love
lot of
Philadelphia.
vacationing I want to do. I have been told that if I want to do California, it might be cheaper not using my DVC points, or even Alani, but
Mhm.
I would rather just use my points.
Yeah.
And then my daughter's going to get my points anyways. She's on our title.
Was she on the
list.
contract?
Now, is that the same answer you would give someone who is also a DVC member that now resides in Florida, or would you have a different answer for them?
See, that's hard to say. It just depends on what they're going to do with it. I don't foresee me ever selling mine.
Mhm.
I know
But that's
two other families that have it in Florida. They keep them as well, and they
yeah,
use them for family.
yeah,
So when family comes down, boom.
yeah.
So they think of it as a good investment.
When my
Now,
sister-in-law was here, we did that. We had the Christmas party. We went right back to a room just for a night. We just went back to a room, slept, got up, and then went back to the park.
Yeah.
And
now
checked out.
those studios will sleep either 4 or 5 adults.
Mm-hmm.
It's not well. I should say 4.5 adults because there's a Murphy bed that comes down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're my sister's size, she's 5'3", it's fine. My son who's 6'2", he's like, not happening. Throw Aunt Kathy on that thing because she doesn't fit, or he doesn't fit. So it will sleep 4 as long as everyone's comfortable sleeping 2 to a bed. So young family, as John was saying, that works well.
Yeah. There comes a point when your kids aren't so young anymore and you can outgrow the smaller rooms.
My son was 7
Kurt.
when we started this, and he's now turning 24.
Yeah.
So he gets his bed. His brother gets his bed, and my sister, like I said, she gets the couch. And she's very happy just to be able to stay over there.
Yeah.
So
Now, some people might be thinking this, but I know Wi-Fi is included.
Mhm.
How is the Wi-Fi in the DVC resort?
Good.
rooms?
It's good.
yeah,
Never
better than
had a
at the high
problem.
schools I work at.
I think with more and more people working on their vacations, shame on them, but they do it anyway. It's important. So I just wanted to make sure we got that out there to anybody who's interested in that.
And the nice thing about the Wi-Fi is you can literally be sitting on the patio outside
Mhm.
and working it. My wife has a job; she has to answer emails. So if it's something important that happens, she has to answer it. She could just be sitting outside, looking at the lake or wherever we're staying, and type away on the balcony.
Did you know if you stay at an Animal Kingdom TVC resort and you have a CB radio and you stand outside, you can listen as they call Red One, come in Red One.
Oh, God. No, I did not know that, Stuart.
I did
No.
not know that either.
Yeah.
Simba one.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got to know Animal Kingdom from way back when on that.
Big Red is no longer with us.
That's right. Big Red. Yeah.
And again, I haven't seen Little Red in a while either.
No. There is a Big Red though in a clown suit running around going from state to state.
Ronald McDonald?
So if somebody is looking to purchase a DVC membership, what are the things they need to know? Well, they have the money, or they have it lined up where they're going to finance it. But what are the most important things they need to know prior to their purchase?
It's a big investment.
It's a very big investment.
Yeah, it might not be as big an investment as buying a house or maybe even a car, but it is a big investment.
Yeah. Well, and you have to go through a process.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about the financing. my that's one of the things you have to pay attention to is it's not just the price of the points, but if you're financing it, the interest as well. We waited for years to get it until we were able to afford to buy our initial points without
That's what we did.
financing.
Mhm.
And
That's what we
then
did.
we didn't have to pay for that added interest. And not
Mhm.
everybody can do that,
That's what we
but
did.
but you have to go through, the closing process. You've got to sign all the paperwork. Now, sometimes, and I don't know if either Kurt or Darlene have seen it recently, but they've often had some incentives. And I know
Yes.
when I got my points, the incentive that year was when we made our purchase, they gave us a year's worth of points
Hmm.
to use that first year. So we
We
had
did.
double our points that first year that we
Mhm.
purchased.
That's
Yeah,
nice. That's a nice incentive.
because we bought at the end of 2007, so they basically banked our points right away for us and gave us the year's worth of points, and we couldn't take our first trip till 2008 anyways.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's how they did it for us.
Right.
You also got mega. I forgot what the gift card was. There was a special if you used the Disney gift card
Okay.
or the Disney. If you use the Disney Visa card, I'm sorry, because we just paid it straight out with that. They gave us like a $500 gift card or something.
Okay.
I ended up with some kind of I ended up with a Disney watch. They gave us a big big basket. So now I
Nice.
also bought through Doorway to Dreams back when they had Doorway to Dreams. That is no more. But it's very the nice thing about it, Stuart, is you can walk in. I walked in with my sister. And again, they gave us a gift card just for walking in there, and for learning about it. And then they called back like a week later, and they're like, "Yeah, we just wanted to check in and see if you wanted anything, and or if you were still interested in it." Now, my wife and I were, so we said yes, we'd like to come back. My sister wasn't. She goes, "Now it's just not a good thing. Now's not a good time for me to make this decision. I'm going to have to wait." You're like, "Okay, no pressure,
Yeah.
none." There wasn't any. Well, we got this special going on right now. This special's going to go away, or hey, these points are going to go out. There was no pressure at all.
So if DVC is going, if you have to purchase a minimum of 160, let's say you're purchasing it directly from Disney, and the value is $200 a point, you're looking at $32,000 right
Correct.
there as an investment. So whatever the cost is going to be with the interest adding, if you're going to finance this for a family, let's say, you have to calculate how many times a year do you go to Disney, how often do you plan on using it, and how much would it cost you if you took a normal regular vacation and just stayed at any resort, not a DVC resort,
Exactly.
and see if it's worth
Right.
it for you, and
Exactly.
if you can financially handle it.
And again, we paid $929 2 years ago for a week's vacation. How much is it to stay at a moderate resort right now?
I think it's like 269 or 289.
Okay, someone do the math for me. 289 times 4. I'm thinking it's adding up to around, or if not more. And we were in a 2-bedroom villa. for that same price.
1,156.
So we saved money.
Mm-hmm.
Once you've paid everything off and all you're doing is paying your dues,
Yeah.
by now, again, when we bought it, the dues were a lot less. It was less
Right.
than half that. I want to say we might have paid like $16,000 or something like that for ours when we paid. So by now we've saved
Yeah.
since 2007. Do the math again. 14 years, whatever it's been. So whatever it is, we have saved that much money with the resorts that we're staying in.
So is it fair to say that all of you have to do dues?
Mega dues.
No, do-dos.
No dues.
One of the big things, that I added up for my husband to understand why I wanted to buy it was we had gone in 98. We went in 2001. We went in 2006. Three or 4 times we went. We We went in 2008, 9. 9 was the big one. We could have paid for a Disney Vacation Club twice over for the amount of money I spent on the resorts.
Yeah. And then after that, Darlene got on her hands and knees and begged him and cried, and he gave in.
No, I just was like, I'm doing it, and that's it.
Yeah. Now, for those people who already have DVC,
hmm
are there any things that you've done that you can think of that might help somebody out who maybe they think they know everything, but maybe they don't? Maybe there's something you can share that the average DVC owner isn't aware of.
Definitely use the Disney Vacation Club website. It is very, very informative.
Research your rooms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You
Right.
Again,
Like
I have stayed in a standard view, or I'm sorry, a lake view room, and my view was of Cinderella Castle.
You know,
But there's
It's
only
okay.
one room available in 2-bedroom that can do that.
think of it this way: if you're planning a vacation, you're researching where you're going. You're not going to just go. Let's say you want to go to Alaska. You're not going to go blindly to Alaska. You're going to research everything that you can find out about Alaska. That might be a bad example, but where you're going on a cruise, it's important that you know where your stateroom is. Is it above the casino? Is it below the pool? Is it after the ship, or where is it? And it's the same thing with a DVC resort. You want to know where that room is located.
Right. And as Kurt said earlier, when you're booking your room, it's not like the cruise line. You don't know where your room is. You know the type of room, but also, as he said, you can submit requests ahead of time to, be on a certain floor or in a certain area. And like he said, there's some tricks to that, but you can request a room that is more in line with what you want ahead of time.
Especially
a
like
room
my
facing
sister
the
had hip
parking lot,
surgery.
please. Oh, no problem.
Yeah. My sister had hip surgery. We really didn't know if she was going to be able to do stairs or not. As it was, everything was fine. But I'm like, look, we either need an elevator or else we need to be on the first floor. Now, that being said, that I liked the room that we got. I didn't like the location of it. But again, I specifically needed that type of room. So because I needed that type of room, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Now, how accommodating is Disney if you've been assigned a room and for whatever reason you don't like the location, or there's something that for whatever reason you just want to be someplace else, not in that room? Will they accommodate you if there's availability? I
Yeah.
understand that
If
they
there's
may not.
availability,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
the key word.
Right. So when you check in, it's the same Disney cast members that are working at the resort with the standard rooms that are going to help you. So it's not like, you've got to go to a different. The check-in can be a little bit different. However, you've got the same kinds of cast members that are going to be able to help you as they would with any other guest.
I'll tell you, if I were a cast member, you know what I would say to the guest? Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah. So they're not what. In other words, you can go down to the concierge, because like Bay Lake Tower, Kilimanjaro, or not Kilimanjaro,
Kidani.
Village are strictly Disney Vacation Club resorts. So Bay Lake Tower does not have. It's got a walkway to get over to food. It doesn't have food either. So at Bay Lake, just like Kidani doesn't, but it's a short drive over to Jumbo House.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the benefits highly outweigh some of those other. Although I will say, I would rather stay in a converted 2-bedroom suite over at the original Wilderness Lodge than over at the Disney Vacation Club.
So the Copper Creek, which is in the main building, versus the
and they sell out quick because we're not the only ones. The space is phenomenal.
Now, does Disney offer concierge service at most of the DVC resorts? And is there a special type of room that you would need?
No,
There's none.
there is no concierge room in a DVC villa room.
Mm-mm.
So for those who
You-
want concierge, you have to book a room with it rather than okay.
Yeah,
Right.
Correct.
I think. Let me look. Animal
Which can
Kingdom
answer all the
Jumbo
one
House.
percenters question.
Yeah, Animal Kingdom Jumbo House. Let me look. They do offer a Kilimanjaro Club concierge,
Okay.
Interesting.
but in Jumbo House, it's the only one that does it.
hmm
Yeah, they're really not that bad either. It's a couple more points.
But that's
3 extra. That's
Wow.
like 3 or 4 more points.
that could be because it's in the original building.
It's in the Jumbo House.
Yeah.
So, and they
I know,
converted some of those concierge rooms into
Okay.
that.
That I did not
I don't
know.
remember. I do not think they did that. The Copper. Look,
Copper Creek
And
in
Darlene, what were you
Wilderness
trying to
Lodge.
say?
No.
Darlene?
I know my friend Nancy, who has been a DVC member since the beginning. She just, the last stay she had was at the Polynesian, and she had got a handicap accessible room.
Mhm.
Did not want one though. So she did request, and they did accommodate her and move her right away.
Well, did she
No, the
move
difference-
because she wanted to keep the availability of somebody who might actually need it? Or
No,
was
she
it
just didn't.
so-
She didn't need it and didn't want it.
well, what's the difference besides
the-
It's
the door and the
walk-in,
bathroom?
and they've got the handlebars. It's a bigger
The
bath.
countertops are lower.
Yeah.
So countertops are lower.
Yeah.
It's a walk-in shower. It's not. There aren't any. I don't think. Depends on.
So
which
for
one
someone
you're
who's
in,
tall,
might
those
be a
lower
tub.
countertops can make a big difference.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Sometimes, if you want the view, you might have to have that
Yeah,
that type of resort, though.
if you're staying at a DVC resort, and maybe it's me and I'm wrong about this, I couldn't care less about the view because I'm going to spend most of my time in the parks and not so much time in the room. It's going to be more, okay, it's time to go to sleep.
At the end of the night, when you come home and you can sit on that balcony and watch the fireworks and hear the Wishes soundtrack going on. Well, it's not Wishes anymore. Happily Ever After, because you're close to the Top of the World Lounge and you can see that castle with all the fireworks going off. That's a view. That's a fun view.
Yeah,
So,
Keith and I had a
animals-
lake view room at Bay Lake Tower, and that was very nice.
Yeah, the lake view, you get to watch the water pageant go by,
Mm-hmm.
which is very calming at night.
You know what's also calming at night? Putting your head on the pillow and going to sleep.
No, that it's called needing to unwind, and that really does help you unwind.
One of the things you do
Hmm.
have to know, like Bay Lake Tower, some of the biggest rooms on a DVC resort are at Old Key West because they were the first. Bay
They
Lake
also
Tower.
you had to aren't that big. The thing about Old Key, we just stayed at Old Key West. One bathroom, you have to go through the master bedroom to get to the bathroom. So it's kind of inconveniencing whoever's in the master bedroom if you want to go to the bathroom.
Now, John, you've stayed at different resorts, DVC resorts, and do you have any favorites that you would recommend to other DVC members?
I have stayed at every DVC property except for Vero Beach. I've stayed at all of the Walt Disney World resorts. I'm sorry. And so there's the new Disneyland, the newer Disneyland DVC properties. I'm staying at them next week. I've stayed at the Grand Californian there. I've stayed at Alani. I've stayed at Hilton Head, but I haven't stayed at Vero Beach yet. But if I had to pick one of my favorites that is irrespective of what the points are going to be, Riviera is one of my favorites right now. I love it being on the Skyliner. I really like, they have a beautiful 1-bedroom and they've got great views from up on the top there at Topolina Terrace. But I like to move around. And so you heard Kurt say that he's only stayed at, what is it, Saratoga Springs one time.
Right. That's because we move all around.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's
so
just
I-
not a favorite resort.
Yeah, we do the same thing. I own at Kidani, and I've only been to Kidani probably twice,
Yeah.
and it's great to move around, and that's one of the things that I love is that flexibility. And one of the reasons I didn't buy in earlier than I did was there were very few choices, and I thought, well, I'm going to be stuck in these two or three. But once they opened it up and they had more, and they have even more properties since then, it's great for that flexibility. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Anything else you want to share with people who are looking to buy that you haven't mentioned? Not people who won't, people that are looking to buy into DVC or may buy into DVC.
Do your research.
Yeah. One thing I would add, we haven't talked about, you can make a reservation and cancel it or
Mhm.
change it. So,
Correct.
and I've done that. So you heard Darlene and Kurt talking about the 11-month windows and the 7-month window. So one of the good practices is to book something. If you know when you're going, book
Mhm.
something at your home resort 11 months ahead of time, so that you know, especially if it's going to be a busy time, it's going to be a holiday, it's going to be a race weekend, whatever. Book it at your home resort 11 months ahead of time. And then when the 7-month window comes around, be ready at 8 a.m., 7 months ahead of when you want to go, and go in and look to see if there's something else you'd rather use as your stay and modify your stay.
Good
But even
advice.
if you have something booked, you can cancel up to a certain amount of time. If you cancel beyond that, it gets put in hold, and you still have a chance to get your points back, but there's another process around that. But
Yeah.
you do have flexibility even if you have booked something.
All right, let's say there is, God forbid, a death in the family, like a week before you have to go. Will they allow you to cancel and restore your points?
They've been very good with me about that. I had an issue where we had to switch a trip, and they were very accommodating.
Okay, good.
It just depends on the time and if there's availability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sure.
there's it's difficult to find rooms especially at the more popular resorts, when you're only a couple months out or a month out or a few weeks out. So Disney's very likely going to be able to reuse those points, that room that you had.
Now, I don't think we spoke about this. Points do expire. And I'm not talking about 50 years from now. You get your points and you have a year or two to use them.
1 year.
1 year, okay.
1
Why
year.
don't you someone
You
explain
can
that?
bank them and borrow, but
Okay,
you
so
can't
what's the
take them
difference?
2 years out. No, it's only
Okay.
1 year in and 1 year back.
All right, but can someone explain that, please, so the person who's looking to buy might understand who doesn't have anything? Like, I don't,
You're given
So-
a date.
What
ahead,
I've
Diane.
done is I've taken, like, say I got my points August this year. I banked them in March for next year.
now by banking means you can put them away for next year.
Correct.
They're in hold.
They're
Hmm.
yeah, they're in a hold pattern. And then say I want to go to Alani next year. I
Mhm.
then borrow because I want to stay like 3 weeks, something crazy. So I would borrow the points from the next year in,
Mhm.
and then I would have more points to do something like that.
Now, but if you do that, would you then be frozen out of using points the year after?
Correct.
No, not at all.
Because I've used
You can
them.
borrow from
Well, I
both
get two
sides.
different answers here.
Well,
You can borrow from both sides.
Yeah, you can keep borrowing if you want, but normally I try to keep them in the same year so I can do something like that.
Mhm.
You can bank and borrow. So
Bank and borrow and use.
maybe for some reason we need to do the 3-bedroom grand villa, whatever. If I don't go for a year, I've got my 160 points. I bank those. I now have 320 points. I can borrow another 160, and what is that? 480 points that I'd have. that I could use all at once. So I wouldn't do that because I want to be able to go every year. But you could technically do that
Yeah.
if you need something really, really big.
All right. So, are there any websites, YouTube channels, or
Google.
or a blog, or getting ahead of me, that both a current DVC member and someone who's looking to purchase DVC can go to as not the Disney DVC site, as a resource that's pretty valuable in the information that they share, including a glossary of terms that, like you using bank and borrow, that's something that a DVC owner and prospective owner would need to know about. Is there anything like that out there that you would recommend?
You could do a lot of research through All Ears Net.
Yeah. You can also go to the Plan Disney website. So they have Plan Disney panelists that specialize in Disney Vacation Club, and there are going to be those past questions from other interested parties that are stored out there, or you could ask a new one.
Mm-hmm.
You can also actually go to the Disney Vacation Club website.
Right.
They have a lot of information on there as well.
Right.
Oh, I was talking in addition to that.
Right.
Gotcha. They are in every resort. So if you're down at Walt Disney World, you can walk right on in. They're over at Disney Springs as well.
Yeah.
They love to talk to you because otherwise they're sitting around twiddling their thumbs.
Yeah. Definitely recommend going up to one of the DVC booths that are in the parks, and they will schedule a time for you to tour a unit or multiple units. And they usually give you some snacks, ice cream, drinks, whatever while you're there. Sometimes they give you some other little perks, but they're more than happy to talk to you about it. They are not pressure. That they will not put any pressure on you whatsoever. It's really up to you to engage them to the level that you want. So I definitely recommend going to visit and talking to somebody. And they're really good at explaining. The people that work there at DVC are really good at explaining and answering questions.
Yeah, that's good.
And they'll give you a tour.
Absolutely.
They'll give you a tour of a room. They've got a specific room at that resort. Or I know that we were talking about those bungalows that are out on the lakes. I viewed both, the one at Polynesian and the one at the Wilderness Lodge. They are incredible. And it is less expensive to stay over at the one at the Wilderness Lodge than you don't have the view of the Cinderella Castle. Those things have their own pool in them. A little tiny, like hot tub pool. So it's crazy. I don't know. It's all enclosed. You got a little it's a screened in porch at the Wilderness Lodge, where you can sit out there and not be worried about alligators or like mosquitoes or anything like that, because there's a wilderness situation. I don't know. I like the tours. And then they give you little perks. Once you actually become a member, they will give you little perks here or there, whether it's a photo or something like that.
There are places in the parks in Disneyland, Walt Disney World, where you can go up and get a character photo only. I'm sorry, that's Disney Visa. But if you're on the cruise line, at Disney Cruise Line, they have a DVC desk, and you can walk up there, and they have something free every day. It could be a hat, it could be a backpack, a pin, other things. So if you'd like to travel on Disney Cruise Line and you're a DVC member, make sure you stop in at that desk every day.
Yeah, we
That's
did
how
that.
Darlene. That's how Darlene got her husband. He was given away to her.
They do both. They have exclusive pins. Yes, you have to pay for these, but there are a ton of pins you could get that are all Disney Vacation Club exclusive. That if you're not DVC,
those are
you're
cool
not getting it.
if you're watching us on YouTube and you can see it.
Yeah, Keith and I, the last time we were on the cruise, we got like a small backpack. We got baseball caps. It was pretty cool.
Luggage tags. We've gotten those before.
We got cups one year.
And Darlene once got a T-shirt. It said, "All I got is this lousy DVC T-shirt." Well, they give good things away. Anything else you guys want to mention? Because we're at an hour right now. All right.
No, I think we're good.
I hope we imparted enough information for those who are DVC members and those who are not, but would love to become one or thinking about it. And that will wrap it up for us this week. We will be back next week with another edition of the WDW Fan Zone show. So until next time, everybody have a great and happy Labor Day. Be safe, be yourself. Bye-bye.
Good night, everybody.
I'm going to use an obscure ending today, but it's by the Sherman Brothers, and it exaggerates the. I don't mean it to say that this is the cost of a DVC property, but although I dropped $100,000 in the market, baby, I found $1 million in your smile. Good night, everybody. Have a great week.
Have a magical night. Happy Labor Day. Stay safe. Pack your sunscreen and your ponchos.